Okay, so I was told that some of the choir members and some of the congregation couldn't hear from down there. So I'm going to try it from here, and then you let me know how that goes, okay? Follow Me is the title that I chose for this, but I really want it to be a question, and because it is something that we have to think about, something that we have to commit, something that does not come easy. When we decide to follow Jesus, we need to prepare ourselves. We need to realize that not everything we do or the way we think is going to be accepted by others. And midway, we might have to change the route in which we are going. And that's coming strictly from the passage that we saw. Jesus had a plan. I'm going to extend my friendship to the Samaritans. They're going to, welcome us, and everything is going to be fine. At least that's what the disciples that were with him probably thought. And midway, they realize when they, knock on the doors and they want to go through there, they're not welcome. It is not going to be something that they can do. And so the disciples have their own ideas as to what they should do. You know what, Lord, give the word and we will punish them. We will help you punish them. But once again, we see Jesus' love come no matter what. And he says, no, this is not something that is up to you. This is not something that you're going to decide. I am here for another reason. And so let's take a look at that. Somebody said, okay, Lord, well, if they won't follow you, let me follow you. And what does he say? Are you ready to not have a place to sleep? Sometimes when you follow me, there's not going to be a nice, comfortable orthopedic pillow where you're going to rest your head. And as we get older, we need that special pillow. And just sleeping anywhere is just a no-go anymore. And so that kind of hit home. It's like, oh, I'm not longer able to sleep in the planes like I used to. I'm not longer able to just lie down on the floor and go to sleep if I'm tired. I understand what he's saying. It will not be easy. But you know what? My commitment is there. And I'm going to continue to follow my God. Then another person says, you know what? If he's not willing to give up his sleeping place, I am. Let me go with you. And what happens? He says, oh, but wait a minute. Let me just go and bury my relative that just died, and then I'll come follow you. And Jesus said, hey, let the dead bury their dead. You come and follow me now. And having so many losses in our family recently, that was hard. And it was like, wait a minute, are we willing to do that? This is the time when family needs one another. This is the time when we can put our arms around people, and yet Jesus said, you're not going to be able to do that. That's no longer your priority. And nowadays, having family far away or other countries, it was very nice this past week to join the family via the internet. Technology is fabulous. My cousins decided to do my mom's cousin's funeral online, and so she was able to sit and participate and say her goodbyes, I was able to hear and to learn a couple of more stories about my aunt that I had forgotten. And so we were able to participate. But here is Jesus saying, you know what? You're not going to be able to do that. And so that's hitting a little bit harder. But you know what? Yeah, we're going to continue to follow him. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. But our eyes are on that prize. And so we must push on no matter what. And then the third one says, well, if he's not willing to forego the family events, I'll do it. But you know what? I have some guests at my house. Let me go say goodbye and say I will see you later, make yourselves at home, and then follow you. And he says, no, you follow me now. And if you come from a Latino family, what do you mean? You have guests? You're not going to leave them home. As it is, growing up, if you had guests, you couldn't go out and play, and you couldn't, do this, and you couldn't do that. You had to stay with the family no matter what, and whatever the family or the visitors wanted, that's what was happening. And so it's not going to be an easy journey. But once we decide to follow, there is not going to be a turning back. But we don't have to do it alone. The promise is that he will be with us through the journey. And I was watching TV last night, and I saw a program where there was a lot of rain, and cars were getting stuck and everything. And it reminded me of our trip to the U.S., where in some of the areas that we had to cross, there was a tremendous rainstorm. And as a little kid sitting in the back of the car, loaded with all your belongings, and knowing that Daddy said, Mommy, no veo bien, I can't see very well, and so it's like, oh my goodness, how are we going to continue on this journey? But you know what? There was a trailer, one of those semi-trucks that we all run away from. God put them there. And my dad was able to follow the trailer, and the trailer would flash his brake lights when dangers was coming, or he would put his flashers on if, Dad needed to slow down a little bit more. And that semi-truck led my dad the entire way. And once, we passed the storm, and once we were safe, it was a recognition from my dad of thank you, and from the truck driver saying, you're welcome. And you know what? That was God. God put it in his heart to help this person that he had no idea. He looked like a traveling nomad, loaded to the gills with stuff. But God got us here safely. Once my dad and my mom decided, we're going to follow you wherever you lead us, God has not given up on us yet. God has been with us through thick and thin. Not being liked at school because, you're not Catholic like a Mexican should be. And it's like, no, not all Mexicans are Catholic. And yes, there are some Mexicans that have blue eyes or green eyes. And so breaking that stereotypical things that we put upon ourselves is difficult. But through all of it, we know that God continues to be with us, that God is guiding us, that God is giving us so much. Have a thankful journal, especially during the summer. Before you go to bed, write down 5 things that you are thankful for. Some days it might just be, I was able to get out of bed. Some days it's going to be more than 5 things. And those days where you think, there's no way anything, 5 things? Good if I can come up with 1. Go back and read what you have written and see how God's love has guided you, how God's hand has been with you at all times, and how we need to come back and understand that His love is not being handed freely, but sometimes we need to work for it. We need to work a little bit to see, where is it that I see your hand, Lord? Another thing I bring back, whenever I hear a siren, you have to say a little prayer. So be that person, be that semi-truck driver that is going to help those that are struggling through life, just by them following you and looking at the way that, hey, you know what, you're not doubling down, you're not giving up on life. Help them along the journey. And we have 2 simple words that require so much and yet are so rewarding. Follow me. Remember to follow Jesus at all times, no matter what. And He will be with you your entire journey. Amen.